here is we've got Sophie in a different context. She has not known to be super comfortable in the round pen before she came to see us, so we spent a lot of time just letting her graze here on her own and playing different games here and reinforcing her here and stuff. She does love this grass, so we're using it as a secondary food source. It's not grazed normally, and it's greener than what's in her paddock. So that's there. If she decides that she'd rather graze, then engage with me. I've got a super low value hay pellet in the bucket here, and I'm using a very short target. I'm going to lengthen it here in a second. The idea that I'm trying to get her used to targeting things on longer sticks, right? So here I go lengthening it a little bit. And then she's following and staying with me, so we did have her rubbing her nose on her leg. There's a lot of flies. You can see them flying around. So kind of hard to sort out exactly, how she's feeling there. We're just watching her. Oh, there I went to lengthen it again, and she wasn't expecting it. And you kind of saw her take her head away quickly. She kind of jumped away from it a little bit. So that was a little bit of her showing you that she thought, somebody might be swinging it at her to hit her with it or whatever. She was a little bit uncomfortable. So we have no idea what her history is as far as whips or things on the ends of sticks and stuff like that. So we're just trying to gradually change her association to them. And she's engaged here. She's not overly excited, which is great. She's moving with my body. I'm using verbal cues, which you can't hear in this video, asking her to walk on. I'm often using a hand cue in conjunction with that. I'm using a verbal bridge, and I'm also feeding from the bucket purposely, right? And so when she came here, she was super hand-oriented and foodie. So we've gone to a really low-value food, and also feeding her from the bucket or on the ground as much as possible, rather than feeding her from my hand. And that's working out quite well here. The only thing about this is sometimes it makes it harder for me to use a hand for a walk-on cue. I do it a lot. I try to do it every time, but I don't always sometimes when I'm trying to handle a bucket and a target at the same time. But I'm pretty good here. As you can see, it putting it under my left arm, and then when we walk off, I use my right hand and my index finger to say, can you walk on? And I also say, can you walk on with my voice? And so those are cues that will later transfer to under saddle, the verbal cue of walk on. I'm also really here feeding the downward transition, which you can't hear. I make a specific verbal sound for the downward transition, and I am bridging and really putting a lot of weight and emphasis on that because she likes to go, go, go. And so I want her to think that the party is just as much fun whenever she slows down or stops as it is whenever she goes, so that we start to make downward transitions and halting intrinsically rewarding for her. So I love how she seems to be fairly comfortable with the target. I love that she's engaged in the game, and we'll call this the end of session. There's her little jackpot.